Turn back eye. Top 10 terrifying things you should never Google.
Whether it's illegal activity, horrifying injuries, or some terms that aren't exactly what they may seem, it's best to take my advice on this one and stay away from Googling these terms. Let's dive right into the top 10 terrifying things you should never Google. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have ring avulsion. Alright, if you're a Jimmy Fallon fan, you might remember a few years ago when he took a couple weeks break from the show, and when he came back, he clearly had a hand injury, which he explained was of course the reason for his absence. What had happened is that Jimmy experienced ring avulsion. This horrible thing is an injury that occurs when...
Before they, I think, ain't that's like when the ring is small in your hand and your fingers start swelling up and it start growing, the ring start growing with the hand, some shit like that.
You're wearing a ring on your finger and it catches on something or somehow creates so much pressure that it severely damages the soft tissue on your finger. And what I mean by severely damages is that it can basically like almost take your finger off without really taking it off, if you know what I mean. Or it can like deglove it, where it's basically like skinned. Either way, it's absolutely terrible. And while Jimmy turned it into a great story, it's definitely not a pretty sight, and a Google search could bring about some pretty gruesome image results. In our number 9 spot today,
let's just look it up, man. Let's look it up.
We have pressure cooker backpacks. This one is going to be pretty self-explanatory, but someone learned the hard way that the combination of Googling the words pressure cooker bombs and then backpacks is one that no one should dare. In 2013, a Suffolk County man Googled these things, and the police later showed up to his house. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a strange combination of things to Google one after the other, but in case it isn't just a coincidence, I'm glad someone is looking out for these kinds of things. In the end, after some investigation, the police were able to determine that there was no threat and that the man was just feeling a little curious that day. Sure, he also learned a very valuable lesson and likely regrets his search history. In our number 8 spot today, we have...
Why would anybody make a cooker backpack? That is not cool, man.
Insider trading. Listen, I don't know anything about trading or stocks or anything like that, but I have learned to never Google the words insider trading in an international account. Someone else made this mistake and ended up paying the consequences. Back in July of 2017, MIT researcher Fei Yan ended up being arrested after he Googled that phrase and then allegedly purchased a bunch of stock. The arresting charges were 3 counts of fraud because federal prosecutors claimed that this stock that was purchased made him $120,000 in illegal profits. Apparently, this guy was using information that was obtained through his spouse's job, which gave illegal insight into certain trading options in order to make these trades, but not before Googling how to avoid law enforcement while doing it, and a bunch of other things that created quite a clear timeline for authorities during the investigation. I guess this search is okay should you not be planning to follow through on the illegal insider trading, but it's probably best just not to Google it at all, just to be as safe as possible. You don't want the police showing up at your door like the other guy. In our number 7 spot today, we have the FDA Defect Levels Handbook. Each year, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, they release a report that details something that, honestly, I want to remain blissfully ignorant about. This report details what the maximum levels of different horrible things are that are legally allowed to be in the food that we all eat. What I mean by horrible things is stuff like rodent hairs, maggots, you know, stuff...
What? What the hold on. Roach hair? How does a roach have hair? I ain't never seen no roach with no hair. Unless they talking about, like, I guess, you know, like if you really look closely to a roach leg before, them little pointy spiky things could be his hair or whatever. But yeah.
If you really don't want in your food at all, because what in the actual world? That's horrible. For your own sanity, this is a good search to stay away from, but if you're one of the people who is just way too curious to stay away from it, just remember that I tried to warn you. I mean, personally, I don't want to know how many bugs are allowed to be in my food. I just don't think I could handle it. Okay. In our number 6 spot today, we have crocodile. This is the nickname that is used to describe desomorphine, which is a morphine derivative that has some extremely strong effects. This illicit substance, unfortunately, has found its way into the lives of those battling addiction, and it has absolutely wreaked havoc, and the results of its usage are truly terrifying. Unfortunately, much of the production of this substance is illegal, which only leads to an increase in the negative impact it has on the user. The side effects of it often are due to certain toxic substances, which does what is referred to as cooking the skin. Definitely sounds completely horrible. It can also lead to large-scale tissue infection or even damage in the area where it was administered. In fact, the effects of this substance are so bad that many refer to it as the flesh-eating drug. It's safe to say this is definitely something that no one should do, and probably just don't Google it.
You know, I thought this could low-key be scary than what I thought.
Grizzly tapes. Okay, you should never Google this because these videos should never be watched because this is something that should have never even been recorded. These tapes were the last thing left by Timothy Treadwell and his girlfriend. Timothy Treadwell was known as the Grizzly Man. He spent 13 years of his life going in and out of living with bears, which for the most part sounds like the most terrifying thing you could imagine, but for him, he wanted to show the world that you could live with bears and that they were not an animal to be feared. Well, even though he was able to spend over a decade in their presence, it's this living situation that would eventually lead to his death. Timothy was making a documentary about bears, so naturally he was spending quite a bit of time with them as he filmed. One day, while he was with a grizzly and filming for the doc alongside his girlfriend who was there to help him with the movie, the bear that they were interacting with ended up turning angry, frightened, or something happened that changed its behavior because it went on to kill both members of the couple as the camera rolled on. It's horrible. You can't see too much of what is happening, but you sure can hear it all, which is definitely bad enough. In our number 4 spot today, we have a jigger. When I hear this word, my mind goes to the bartending tool. It's like a shot measurer, okay? After I finish up my work here, I go to work at a restaurant. I see these things every week. They're my friend. If you were interested in perhaps purchasing some new barware, however, be careful with your search when using this term. While the tool is all fine and well, a jigger flea is nightmare fuel. These little insects with the same name as the trusty tool like to burrow into skin where they then lay eggs. Yeah, definitely don't want any images of that coming up in your search. I'm just trying to look out for you, really. Yeah, these small little parasitic guys are only 1 millimeter at first, and when they initially burrow into your skin, it might just feel like a little itchy or whatever, but as their abdomens swell with eggs, pressure can be created, and this pressure could press on nerves or blood vessels, which not only is just awful to think about, but can cause pain that ranges from mild to severe. All in all, just be careful what you Google, because not everything is what it seems. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Steve Irwin Stingray video. Like, how random, honestly, but don't Google it. Like, why? This one really gets me right in the feels. Steve Irwin, best known as the crocodile hunter, was famous for his wildlife interactions, but as many
I'm gonna look some of these up because I'm low-key curious. Like, when y'all watch vids like this, 'cause I'm pretty sure y'all um like I'm pretty sure y'all didn't watch vids like this before. Hey, don't look up this or don't look up that. Like, have y'all ever looked it up anyway, just to be on some curious stuff? Like I don't know. Like, I guess like sometimes, you know, like just people just look up certain stuff, you know? Hold on, y'all.
of us know, this passion for animals and an interaction with one in particular sadly turned deadly. On September 4th, 2006, Steve was taking part in the production of a documentary series, Ocean's Deadliest. That day, there was some not-so-great weather, which led to a bit of a pause in the filming. Since nothing was really going on, Steve decided to take a bit of a snorkel into the shallow waters nearby, and they filmed as he did this. He wanted to use the footage in his daughter's TV show, Bindi the Jungle Girl. As they swam in the water that day, Steve approached a stingray that was about 2 meters large, or 6.5 feet, and he approached it from the back in order to try and get some footage of it swimming away. That is not what this stingray did, though. Instead, it propped on its front and started stabbing wildly with its tail as a defensive response. Wow. Unfortunately, this caused one of the barb pieces to pierce Steve's heart, which unfortunately led to his death. Despite the crew members administering CPR and...
No, that's crazy.
That's
crazy as hell.
Look. The thing I'm obsessed with most about Curology is...
and rushing him to shore, there was just nothing that could be done. It is believed that this was the only fatality from a stingray that has ever been recorded on video. This is, of course, just tragic, but it also led to a bit of a war against stingrays afterwards. For weeks after his death, stingrays were being found on the beaches of Queensland with their tails cut off. No one is sure if this was done as an act of revenge.
Oh, wow, what the... So they slide... People sliding on stingrays now? It's like, not even trying to be funny, it's like, you know, you're pulling your partners out in the game, and the homie go slide, they slide. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Like, I know some of y'all probably joke talking about, oh, slide for Steve. Oh, they slide for Steve or whatever. But I don't joke. You know, I don't joke about nobody's death. It's messed up, man. But yeah, man, sales like who the fuck out there?
Stingrays everywhere, or what the case was. But yeah,
oh, wow.
This is one video that don't Google, and no one wants to see it. It's just terrible. It's sad. In our number 2 spot today, we have found in fast food. Of course, we have all heard tales of people making stuff up to try and get some kind of free food from their favorite fast food restaurants, but also there are some very real, very disturbing stories out there of stuff people have found, and it is all too searchable. If you searched things people have found in fast food, you'd be met with enough evidence to make you question every fast food meal you have ever and will ever eat in your life. People have found hardware parts, human skin, an entire rat, bugs, hair.
Oh, human skin. Oh, no, oh my God, that's a no-no. Oh, that's a, oh no. That is a fucking no-no, bro.
Found hardware parts, human skin,
hardware parts? I put hardware parts you get.
Entire rat, bugs, hair, and even a whole chicken head. I have a million questions, but I don't even want to attempt a Google search to find out the answers because I'm scared of what I might find out. Reading enough of these harrowing fast food tales is enough to ruin anyone's appetite. In our number 1 spot today, we have mouse larva. Pretty self-explanatory as to why you shouldn't Google this one, and I'm not even sure why anyone would. Maybe in an attempt to find moth larva information and there was a bit of a typo, but even then, maybe just stay away from Googling that as well. Whatever reason you might be thinking of or accidentally typing mouse larva into the search bar, it's best to refrain from because this is one search that will just gross you right out. This search will definitely yield results of humans and other animals that have larvae crawling in between their teeth. Yep, exactly what it sounds like, mouth larva. Larvae and mouths. It's horrible, it's disgusting, and there's not only photos, but there's videos too, in case you wanted to get really weird. Just because you can Google these things does not mean you should. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host.
Some of y'all niggas are weird, bro. Some of y'all niggas are weird, man. Some of y'all niggas are weird, man. Some of y'all niggas are weird, man. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all niggas are weird, man. Some of y'all niggas are weird, man. Some of y'all niggas are weird, man. You know what I'm saying?